Good evening and welcome to a special edition of the Vigilate Dialogues. I am your host, Shaina Smith, welcoming you to the National Boardroom. This evening with me, I have Mr. Devin Robinson, and we're going to be talking about business, economy, and a whole bunch of other things going on. He is the facilitator for the Power Move workshop. So, turn out of war, welcome Mr. Robinson.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Professor, because I go to the class too. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're no stranger to the dialogues. So, but for those who may be tuning in and seeing you for the first time, who is Devin Robinson?
Who is Devin Robinson? Entrepreneur, trainer, owner of multiple businesses, author, of course, of Power Move. It's pretty much it. Consultant, trainer, teaching people, helping boost economies, and helping teach people how to grow their businesses.
A busy person, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
An international busy person. Okay, good. So you basically consult people in terms of starting up a business.
Mm-hmm.
For persons who have business ideas, because we run into them all the time. Somebody talks about an idea that they have, but they may have been talking about it or thinking about it for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about how would you go about starting up a business?
Well, okay, so that's a loaded question, but that's okay. I got loads of solutions and answers. Yeah, absolutely. So, starting up a business, what a lot of people fail to do is be the architect of the business, design the business, right? So people, they have this passion or they have this craft, and then they just automatically say, hey, I'm going to go into business for myself. And they go into business. Mm-hmm. And then what they find themselves doing is hustling. And I speak about that a lot. Going from a hustler to an enterpriser, there's a difference. Mm-hmm. A lot of people become hustlers where they don't make money unless they touch the customer or touch the service that they're delivering. Mm-hmm. They're really self-employed, and if they can't take a day off or they can't get sick, or else their revenue dries up or the sales dry up, right? Yeah. So they fail to, they go out and get the mandatory stuff that the government or the local municipality mandate for them to do. Mm-hmm. And they don't do above that. So you gotta look at it like this: customers, government, those kind of people, they don't care so much if you become an enterprise, just as long as you paying your taxes and you're running a legal business, right? So it's up to the individual, and a lot of times when you have that type of liberty and freedom, you don't stretch yourself beyond actually hustling.
So like a comfort level, just enough to pay bills.
And then next thing you know, years go by, and then retirement comes, or they get sick, or some other ill-fated thing happens, and then they're in a bad situation because they never designed the system. So of course the system is creating a situation where whether you're there or not, your customers can be served. And I tell people that's what a business is. You're serving people. It's a solution to our problem. Every business, I don't care what it is, it's a solution to our problem.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because then you see a lot of people start a business based on what they see somebody else doing without really understanding, what it is, the objective is, or what the goal is in terms of what's the need that you're trying to fill, so that even if you go into a similar service, what's the difference that's going to be? Because obviously now you automatically have competition in that market.
Yeah, absolutely. And really when you see a business, like I tell people, you're spectating and you're only seeing 10% of that total business. Customers can only see 10% of the total business. There's so many other things that you don't know. So let's just say you see somebody doing something and you say, oh, I'm going to go do it too. You don't know their cash position. You don't know where they got the money from to start the business. You know that the marketing that they put in place, that even the digital marketing, you don't know what type of SEO they have in place. So when people search them out, they're coming up, you're not coming up. You don't know a lot of the different nuances. You can't see that. So you can't just blindly say, well, I know how to do this. Somebody doing it and I could do it better, and that's it. Because there are tons of people that know how to sing that never get a record deal. And there are tons of people who can't sing that have a record deal. You know what I'm saying? So, plenty of homeless PhDs and plenty of wealthy dropouts. It really has a lot more to do with the psychology of the business, and not just the mechanics or the technical aspect of it.
And so it's something where then basically you have to have a plan. That's what it boils down to.
You definitely have to have a plan. And the things that I focus on heavily on what I teach, I actually create powerpreneurs. Okay, so people that are very competitive entrepreneurs, and what I focus mostly on is the psychology. So I've coined this thing called psycho entrepreneurship, and the focus is the person becoming psychologically conditioned and prepared for entrepreneurship. Not just knowing the craft, okay, not just knowing how to cook, but don't know how to run a restaurant, or don't know how to market the restaurant, or don't know how to provide customer service, or don't even know how to employ people. Because I think one of the things that people overlook is the three aspects of being in business. There's entrepreneurship, there's ownership, and there's being an employer. And you can master one and not master the other two and still find yourself in trouble. And the most difficult one is employing people. So you're bringing people on a team to help grow your business, and there's a bunch of ambiguous elements of your business. There's no real strategy, there's no real plan. So they come in and you verbally tell them a few things, and you say do this and do this and do that, and they're still lost. And that's where you find that the larger corporations and more established businesses can attract and appeal good talent, because there is structure in place in how they hire people, how they indoctrinate them as far as the orientation, the training, and getting everything in place, and people feel like they're a part of a team and they're not lost. People don't want to work for a lost organization.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just like driving around and you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what a lot of novice entrepreneurs, small business owners get caught in that trap. That so much is in their head, and they never get it out of their head, that the people who standing right to their left or standing right to right next to them on their right, they don't know what to do unless that person is there. So you become a slave to the business, and I don't teach people how to do that. That don't make sense, because then you're a hustler and not an enterpriser.
And that's one of the key things too, when you mentioned in the beginning, where the focus has to be on longevity, on sustainability.
Absolutely.
Because you want to be here 5 years, 10, 15, 20 years from
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, and the business able to continue without you having to be there.
Absolutely. Your sustainability is the thing that you said that's so crucial, and sustainability have a lot of different elements to create that sustainability. And again, this is places that people overlook. You want to start a business, you want to make sure it's protected. Your trade secrets or your formula or whatever, how you do things, that's protected, and you're not loose with information. I know you love your cousins and your parents and your friends, but you don't release all this information out there thinking that it's not a big deal, because it will damage you economically if you're not protecting the way you do things. Your pricing, this is such a big deal. I always have to talk about people are pricing, right? Because a lot of times people don't find that sweet spot. They're either underpriced or they overpriced. So what most people do, novice entrepreneurs, they say, how much can I get that product for? And then they look at it and they say, okay, this is how much I could sell it for. And for them, that's all that matters. I bought it for $2, I could sell it for $5. That $3 in between there is what they're comfortable with. But that $3, and
that's incorrectly viewed as profit.
Of course, it's really not profit just yet. But that $3, they think can sustain a whole enterprise, especially when you have low sales volume. So there's so many other things you have to put in place. A $3 profit is good if you have a huge sales volume, right? But it's not good if you don't have a lot of sales volume. And that $3 doesn't just go in your pocket, or you have the $2, you could buy more, and you take that $3 and then you live. That's short-sighted. That's not a sustainable design. That $3 should be able to deal with marketing, of course, deal with taxes, deal with growth, deal with infrastructure, deal with everything, and still have a profit at the end of it. So you have to really be careful in how you're doing your pricing, because you can kill your own business just by how you price stuff.
And that's key. If you just tuned in, you're tuned in to a special edition of the Vigilate Dialogues. I'm your host, Shaina Smith, and with me I have my colleague, my professor, Devin Robinson, who's here facilitating the Power Move workshop that you may have heard about, that the Department of Trade and the National Business Bureau have been putting on. So we're here basically talking business right now. And I had a question for you. In terms of Power Move, it has basically the letters in MOVE actually stand for something. So let's kind of run through them, because I think this is something that's very essential in terms of the business culture shift that has to take place. One of the things that we have here in the BVI is that, you know, we're in a process basically of grooming or seeing the emerging of the next generation of business leaders, because, and it's not something where, you know, that it's kind of like I think it's something that we lost, really. I was going to say it's not part of our culture, but I have to take that back. At one point in the BVI economy, we were the boat builders, the captains, the crew, the farmers, the fishermen, etc., etc., etc. Basically, anything you could think of entrepreneurially, we did it. We weren't interested in necessarily working for somebody, you know, even though it had scenarios like that. But, you know, things changed and we end up with the shift in the economy of service industries, and then it was more about getting a job. Because even for me, coming out of high school, college, go get a good job. Not necessarily, yeah, well, get a job, but make sure you have your eye on the bigger prize, which is, you know, starting a business.
A job should fund your
being
passion.
An entrepreneur, exactly. So we need, I think there needs to be that push now in terms of the transition from employee back to being the employer, back to being the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because it's very important for us to own our economy. And that's how I view it. As far as business ownership equals economic empowerment, because then the businesses are where the money is driven in the economy. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. So let's talk about move. So the M stands for mindset.
Right, absolutely. Now, you were saying something that was so interesting that I want to touch on, right? I don't want anybody to think that I arbitrarily go around society saying that everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, because that's not the case. Everybody's not built to be an entrepreneur.
And they can't.
You have some people that are designed to be on the team and help build the organization. Now, what everyone can be is an owner of something. They can have an investment in a business that they're not managing or running because they're not equipped to run it. You can own shares, you can own assets. Everybody can own, but not everybody can be an employer or an entrepreneur. So let's get that straight.
Good.
My focus is on people that have the capacity and capability to be entrepreneurs, owners and employers, but fear, doubt, and all these different things stop them from doing it. Okay? So just going to the mindset a little bit. One thing, what shifted in the way we did things is this thing called easy and convenience, right? Easy is very enticing. Yeah. And you know what's easy? Getting a job. Yeah. Clocking in, clocking out, and not having to think about all the elements of running this business. Now, I talk to people about the first generational entrepreneurs. First generational entrepreneurs are the people who throw themselves under the bus because they are the ones who are putting up with the headaches and the sacrifice of the 7 to 10 years that it takes to build a business and going through all the stresses to build something for their preceding generations. The problem is who's going to be the first one, and that's what happens. People say, I'm going to just do the easy, get my check, hang out on the weekends, party, not think about much, and retire. Maybe my children could do this entrepreneur thing. Yeah. And nobody really step up. Well, I don't want to say nobody, but we have people that step up and say, let me start a business, because everybody can't work for a business. Somebody have to be starting
Somebody has to be employed.
Yeah, so. Somebody have to be starting one, right? Yeah. So that's like a cultural shift where as corporations become bigger and the industrialism get bigger, it becomes more enticing to just go work for them. Yeah. And it just takes a level of guts and endurance to go set up your own business. So
and it's one of the things we want to just insert in here is in the book you talk about the whole thing about job security, where there's a false sense of job security if you work for somebody rather than having your own business. Yeah. Because not having a job could easily happen in both ways, one of which, though, you have control over. Yeah. Because if it's your business, then you have control over whether or not you have a job tomorrow. Yeah. Versus me walking in on Monday and they tell me, it's been nice having you.
Yeah. I mean, the simple formula of 100% of your income is controlled by one person or one entity. That's what an employee is. 100% of income controlled by one entity versus 100% of your income under the control of thousands or maybe hundreds of entities, which is your customers. So it would take all your customers
disappearing
to stop doing business with you for 100% of your income to disappear. Versus being on a job, you upset one person. That's 100% of your income. So that the real safety net is in owning your own stuff. That people tend to overlook, and the elephant in the room that's just they're trying to ignore, but it's right there, but they're trying to ignore it.
But you made a very key point as far as the hard work that requires, and I think that's where again the shift has come where, you know, we're looking for the easy path rather than being a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Through the bush.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really feel deep down in my heart that it's every parent's responsibility to create guaranteed income for their children. Now, I'm not saying you force your children to work in your business. You don't have to. I don't think you should have to force them, because they may have their own passion and their own role.
Young.
Teach them from young.
That path.
But the thing is, they should have an option. So if you tell your children, get good grades, go out, find a job, whatever, you're sending them out there to hopefully somebody hire them, give them income. You don't even have control of that.
Exactly.
So if they go out there and they fall on their face and they have nowhere to go and get an income, where do they go? It's almost to me like you leaving your kids out there. You're just telling them to trust the system, trust the education.
It's going to take care of you.
And it's going to take care of you. I don't take care of you. It'll take care of you. And I just firmly believe that every parent should have some type of income set up where their children can say, it's not working out here for me. I can't get a job because of how I look, because of something I did in my past that's coming up, whatever the case is. And you could say, you know what, no problem. Come work right here, because I have this asset that generates income, and you have guaranteed income for your rest of your life. And you do the same thing. Create guaranteed income for your children. Exactly. So I strongly believe that. So the M, of course, mindset. That's why I focus on, first of all, because most people, many people in our society are way more workers than owners. So the first thing that people have to do is get their mindset straight and really understand what entrepreneurship is about, what business ownership is about. You know, we live in a very emotionally connected society, and sometimes decisions in business have to be very rational, where it'll make you uncomfortable, it'll make you upset. But you have to learn that and prepare for it, that you look somebody in the eye and say, I'm no longer allowing you to be my supplier because of XYZ, or I cannot or I can't keep you employed because of XYZ. You know, it's some difficult decisions. I mean, I've had to terminate quite a few people in my lifetime, and it is not ever, well, I won't say not ever, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it feels good to say, you know what,
it's relieving,
you have to
maybe
go.
I'll let you
it's
get
cathartic.
away with relief. Like,
but for others it's like, it doesn't feel good, but you have to do it. You know, and that's part of the mindset, that understanding that you're in an economic situation. You know what I'm saying? And really, you know, on a job, an employee and an employer comes together for the same reasons, to make a profit. Both of them come together for economic gain. So you have to understand,
business success is my success as an employee. Absolutely.
So you have to understand that your decisions are economically driven, that they have to be rational and they can't really be emotional. So that's what mindset really covers.
I think that basically underlying all you said was maturity. Because if you're an immature person, insecure,
ain't gonna work.
Being an entrepreneurship, check us in 10.
Ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. And you take all that stuff into your business. Like, people think that, you know, they don't have to get ready for entrepreneurship. They could just jump ship. They could just quit. They could just go. And it's a strategic process that you have to get ready for. Like, you can't it's not an overnight thing.
It's definitely
so the training and the Power Move Academy, it being a 1-year academy, is designed specifically for that, because it takes that amount of time for you to really, like I say, ingest, digest, so it can all manifest.
Very key. Well, mindset, very important. Order. Preparation.
That's right. So
reprogramming your digestive system. What is that?
That's right. So getting things in order, pretty much. So you have to go from the consumption, the consumer, to the producer, right? You have to go from being selfish to selfless. So you have to start getting a whole lot of things in order. Your finances, your credit, your obligations, your financial obligations. You need to start getting all that stuff in order, so that when you go into business, it doesn't affect the business, because you know you're gonna be floating expenses. You have carrying costs if you have products. You have investments in the infrastructure. If you have an office or a building, you know, all these things are going to force you to be obligated to it. So you have to deal with your personal obligations now. Get all that stuff in order so it doesn't interfere with the business side. So that's what it all really covers.
Okay. And that's very key, because I remember in a training that I did for CDB, you know, talking to the attendees about the fact that your personal finances and your business of finances should be separate. And it's like they were shocked for some of them, because, you know, they look at it as, this is my money. The business is mine. The money is mine. But again, like you touched on earlier, we'll get more into it. You know, there has to be, it's a different system.
Yeah.
So your personal is one system, and the business has its own system.
That business money is not yours.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really yours. It's like
mine.
Yeah, I mean, that's this selfish.
That's a mentality.
Going to selfless. Like I said, like you have to be comfortable knowing that the revenues that come to the business has to be divvied up and shared and done good to the system, so the system can do right by you. You know what I'm saying? It's not for your disposal, just for your, you know.
And but it happens, especially when you talk about family business, where persons feel, you know, you just go in the register, take out a 50, and it's not hurting anything, but it really is doing a lot of damage.
That's when they don't even respect their own business. Because I don't even do that. Like you don't. You're on a system. You're on a salary. You take a salary from
and that was one of the questions, because I was like, so they're like, well, how do I get paid? I said, you put yourself down on the payroll.
Right.
You give yourself decide how much your salary is, and basically that's all the money you're entitled to.
Right. Exactly.
Everything else goes back into the business.
Exactly. And when you look at the system and the big picture, all you are is the overseer of the resources. You can't look at it like it's your personal resources. So you have a salary, and everything as it happen. All you are is the check writer and the approver of things, of payments and stuff like that. But it's not yours. You're just managing it for somebody. You got to look at it like if you were like a financial advisor and you had a client and they brought money to you to manage. That's not your money. You're just managing it for that individual. So you have to have more respect for the business.
And that applies to whether it's a micro business or a large corporation.
It doesn't matter.
Everybody.
It doesn't matter.
Now, to make sure, because again, because of the scale, people think the rules change.
No,
but
it doesn't matter.
Really, it's the same set of rules.
It doesn't matter.
All right. If you just tuned in, you're tuned in to a special edition of the Vigilate Dialogues. I'm your host, Shaina Smith, and with me I have Mr. Devin Robinson, the facilitator of Power Move Academy, and a globally busy person. Trust me when I tell you that. So we're talking about what the move in Power Move stands for, and we touched on M for mindset, O for order. So let's touch on V for vacate.
Yes.
What is that?
You gotta vacate them bad habits.
Vacate the bad habits.
Vacate the bad
habits.
So
this is related to that, getting your mindset. All right.
Yeah, like you have things that you do that you may not think is a big deal. There's a big difference in being an employee versus being an employer. And if you didn't come up in a entrepreneurial household or in an entrepreneurial culture or whatever, you really have the conditioning of a consumer, of an employee. So case in point, you get paid on a job. You look at that money, and you look at that money as 100% of your money, and you start doing what you want to do with that money. You may live check to check. You may bounce a check. You may float some fund. You may go in the negative in your account. You may do these different things, but all these things that you do only affect you. Right? It's a whole different mindset. You become an employer. You have the responsibility, and this is something that I take very seriously. You have the responsibility and the lives and the well-being of people that are working for you. You have the responsibility of being available to your customers that want to come back and patronize you over and over again. You have the responsibility of the suppliers if you sell goods or even services, the people that rely on you to stay in business. There are so many stakeholders surrounding you and your business, no matter how big or absolutely, no matter how big or small you are, that you have a responsibility to operate in a certain fashion. And you can't do the things that you would have done
if it's just you.
When it was just you, and all you got to worry about is your household and things like that. You have to start getting rid of these bad habits. And once you start seeing yourself as a business and running your house as a business, because I talk about that in the book, running your house like turn it into a corporation. Start running it that way. That way, you really understand the dynamics of running a business. You start doing that. Sometimes it's a steep learning curve for some. It's enlightening for others. But once you're able to vacate those bad habits, trust me, that's 80% of your success in business. Because now when you step in, you're prepared, your emotions are set to the side, you're disciplined, and you understand that it's a much bigger picture than you just buying an Escalade.
And talk about discipline. One of the things I remember in the first session that we had, you talked about the consumption theory. Share that with us.
The consumption theory, one of my most popular theories that I put together. The consumption theory talks about living off of 10% of your income, right? So there's a culture or an influence from many financial people and stuff like that said, pay yourself first and put up 10% of your income. But if you really break down that 10% of your income, let's just talk about the numbers and quantify it for a second. So if you're making $40,000 a year, that means you're putting up $4,000 a year, right, to the side, right? And you retire after 20 years, right? So 4,000 times 20 is 80,000. So you have 80,000 saved after your 20 years. Well, that's only 2 years of your salary. Because if you're working for 40,000 a year, once you retire, your lifestyle either have to drastically change, or you only have 2 years worth of savings
before you have to go get a job again.
Before you have to go find another job. So you'll be laughing and happy and have your convertible. You retired for 24 months. After the 24 months, it's back to the drawing board, right? So I don't believe in that. I believe in also, I mean, just kind of talking about some other things in the book. I don't even believe you should be making 40,000 a year. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, no. You can't advocate for that.
Yeah, you just that is, you should be doing much heavier stuff.
40,000 should be at 10%.
Exactly. I learned.
Right?
Exactly. You remember something? I'm proud. So talking about a consumption theory, you should be living off of 10% of your income. So if you do want to consume and live to the lifestyle of 40,000, 50,000, 75,000, that means your total income should be 750,000 if you want to live off of 75,000. A couple things happen when you operate like that. One, it forces you to be a high producer rather than a high consumer. It forces you to really look at the ways that you can really generate more money. Okay? Two, what it does is it safeguards you against recessions and depressions. Because if you're living to 10% of your income, no matter what happens in the economy, in your business, your income would have to decrease to the tune of 90% before your personal lifestyle is affected. You see what I'm saying? So it allows you to not just build significant wealth, because you have that kind of money, you'll be able to do a lot more things and get some interest and get some dividends and invest in other businesses that you're not managing and blah, 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 blah. But it also just protects you from a certain lifestyle where you're not going and living check to check. Now, you have to be very disciplined. Discipline doesn't just come on the bottom side, on the low end where I don't need to be living check to check. Discipline also says that even if you're making a whole lot of money, you ignore it. You know what I'm saying? So once you start to learn how to bring in that huge income, you have to be prepared to say, no, 90% is chopped up like this, and this is where it's going, and I'm not even thinking about it. That way you can move around and not have the pressure of getting that check. So the consumption theory is huge, a huge eye opener for a lot of people.
I think so, and it's almost as basically it's a reverse of what we're taught. Growing up, it's again you're talking about getting a job. You save up some of your salary, spend the rest, and at the end of it, you hope everything works out. But it's something where we have, like you said in the beginning, the very key word you used was architect. You have to be the architect basically of your life. Decide what's going to happen, and basically, you plan for that, and then you execute your plan.
So absolutely.
You make sure it happens.
Absolutely.
All right. So we vacated. Now it's time to execute.
Yes, execute is, just executing on the things you've learned and executing on your passion. So. I don't suggest because you know how to cook, you just run out and execute on a restaurant, right? You got to go through the MOV first and really see if you will be ready to even do that, because, you know, you can make a bigger mess. I mean, even if, let's just say if you have good credit, you have enough resources to do X, Y, Z and go out and get a loan. Let's say you go to a bank and you get $100,000, $150,000 loan. You could do yourself more damage getting an approval on the loan than you do getting a denial, because you might not be ready for that kind of money. Now, if you go out in the street right now, we could leave this building right now and stop anybody and say, would you take a check for $1 million from me? We probably get 100% yes.
Yes.
With no questions asked.
Yeah,
of course. You know why? Because in our minds and in our ego and in our narcissism, we all want to believe that we're ready.
We could handle $1 million.
We could handle it. And really, statistics show that we're not. Look at the lottery winners. Look at the professional athletes that retire. Give them 2 years and they're in a worse situation that they were in before. They're bankrupt. All those resources are gone. We're just not ready. So you have to really take a look at yourself and look at your, I mean, if you live check to check, you're really not ready unless there is some extenuating circumstances that have you living check to check and you really just need a chance, you need a break. I get people that come to us quite often looking for investments, doing some venture capitalism in their businesses. Let me tell you something. I am open to people coming to me for an investment in their business. That's one of the elements of my companies. That's one of it. The people that I really take the most serious to are people who've been through Power Move Academy, and people that I examine throughout the time there. I watch them, I watch their habits, I watch their punctuality, I listen to their articulation, I look at their ideas, of course, because I'm spending more time with them. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't invest in other people. But when people do come and I start asking key questions about their systems, what in place, about their plan. Do you have a business plan? Do you have a revenue plan? Do you have a sales plan? Do you have a marketing plan? And the answers are consistently no. And I'm like, so if I give you this money, what exactly are you going to do with it? And you know what the majority of the answers is? It's in the actual product or the craft of what they do. It's not surrounded or anything else. No real system.
So it's more about the material.
It's about their technical. It's about them as a technician. Whatever it is they're going into business for. Let's just say a painter, right? So you're a painter and you want to open your own studio or whatever the case is. The response is, I want to buy paint, and I want to buy an easel, and I want to buy a canvas, and I want to do this. And I don't hear, well, how am I going to get my money back? How are you planning to actually sell? How many units are you planning to move? Are you going to bring in a team to... I'm not going to be your mentor, or I'm not going to be
You're not going to run the business.
Like you have to tell me how you expect to do this. And I find that so many people have no real good clue on how they're going to create a sales model and how it's going to be sustainable. So, but yet they're asking for money. So I know that's the frustrations of the banks a lot of times too. The people coming in asking them for this money.
Higher risk when you don't see a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. They're coming in asking for money, and you can't really communicate what are you going to do with this money. But we would take it. We would just take the money. We would go and get a job that we're not qualified for. But if that job paying us a crazy salary that we would like, we will take it even though we can't do the job. So this is a level of responsibility and maturity that we have to have in doing so.
And executing it. Okay. So when you talk about, in terms of now with the execution, we talk about designing, and you taught us about the three areas of business. Marketing, sales, and operations. Touch on that a little bit for me, because again, when we think business, oftentimes people just think about the operations side and don't understand the importance of the first two. In terms of you having something to operate on. Because that's where the money is coming from. So
absolutely.
As far as marketing, what's good marketing, and how we make that, we take that now and turn that into sales conversion. And
absolutely. So the three main arteries, marketing, as you said, marketing, sales, operation. Marketing is your ability to appeal to people. So your ability to get traffic into your business or to your website or wherever it is. Sales is your ability to convert. So now you turn window shoppers into customers. You turn browsers into spenders, right? And then operations is your ability to manage the resources that are coming in. Any business that has a problem, any business that's failing, any business that needs troubleshooting, the problem is in one of these three areas. They're not getting enough traffic, they're not converting enough people, or they're poorly managing their resources, okay? With marketing, it's not a one size fits all. Every business requires a different level of marketing, okay? And I think, as you remember in the power marketing class, when I spoke about the thing called educational advertising.
Yes,
right?
and or had us doing our elevator pitch and all of those types of things.
Right, absolutely. It's how you go at the market and what you bring to them and to get their wheels turning. And of course, speaking on the fair and even speaking on some of the things that they don't know they need help with, that they don't even know is a problem. Okay, so like for example, Microsoft. When Microsoft was an IBM and they were all leading the way in bringing these personal computers, the market was not asking for personal computers. They didn't know that this is something that they need. No, these were the designers and the programmers and the forward thinkers that said, you know, if people have personal computers, it will make their lives a whole lot easier. But people are walking around not knowing that their lives could be a whole lot easier. You see what I'm saying? So it's just the marketing for you to come in and say, hey, you have a problem. You don't know that you have a problem. You don't really know it. But I'm here to tell you that you do have a problem. And
this is how I want
luckily, I can solve it.
I'm here for you.
Yeah, luckily I can solve it. So go ahead and buy this personal computer and become computer literate. I'm not going to teach you computer classes or anything. That's on you. We just send you the computer. You can access the internet. You could balance your checkbook. You can pay bills. You can send emails. You don't have to worry about stamps. You can. We're solving tons of problems. Okay. And so the marketing is not a one size fits all. Everybody. Different things are more effective for some. Digital marketing is effective for some businesses. Direct mailing is effective for some businesses. You have traditional advertisements, radio, TV, billboards, right? There are just a lot of different areas of marketing, and and
that was one of the things too, where when you talked about spider marketing, as far as having the different types. Because a lot of people, we go the easy routes with maybe just on social media or
bad idea.
And he told us as much. Trust me when I tell you, it was a lot of us bubble. But and putting the effort in, because marketing is an investment into your business. It's just like any other expense in terms of buying product or supplies that you use, and needing to, because people don't know about your service or your product. You're not gonna get sales. So
absolutely.
We have to move beyond the easy stuff and come across with, whether it's making sure you're in the yellow book, making sure your online listings are, and you use a word which I don't think most people know, or I should say abbreviation, SEO, which is search engine optimization.
Right.
As far as when I Google certain things, it's not a random reason why certain businesses come up.
Right.
The websites are now being designed that they show up.
Right.
When searches are done at the top. Because you imagine you put in something, say restaurant in the BVI, and you end up with 5,000 results.
You probably get more than that.
I want to be
stuff that's not in the BVI.
That does exactly, because that's what starts to happen.
Restaurants with the acronym BVI.
That's what starts to happen. So it's like you have to figure out how you're going to be on that front page, and all of those things are things that need to be planned. Right,
because people don't go to the second and third pages. Rarely.
At least I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I have businesses that no matter who you are, where you are, you put in that phrase, I'm coming up on the first page. Period. You know what I'm saying? Because of the SEO. But that's that business, and I have other businesses that SEO is not the way to go with it. I have to go to some other means of marketing. So,
Okay, very key. So get your marketing on. All right, so we touched marketing, sales, operations.
So sales is another element that sales is a little less cryptic than marketing, right? So sales is more of a emotional, humanistic thing. So
getting you to say yes.
Yes, exactly. And even if you're doing so online or whatever, you have to appeal to the people, because people tend to buy from people, not necessarily just the product. Okay, that's why you have tons of auto dealers that sell the same cars and different people, we connect humanistically to each other. So, but getting people to convert, I'm just talking, what I was mentioning now is service. Okay, so the service is heavy. The people that are greeting and meeting the customer is very important, but you also have to have the right product mix, the right price points. You know, all these things allow people to convert into an actual purchase. So you have to have those things in place too, because you have businesses that a lot of people come through, that see a lot of people, websites, a lot of people are hitting these websites, but there's very little conversion. There's very little conversion for whatever reason. Low inventory, like I say, high prices, bad service, the wrong products in stock, but people are coming through the doors. So.
And one of the reasons why I asked you to really like flesh that out is because, you know, on one of my previous programs, we were talking about the fact that businesses here in the BVI compete with businesses in the USVI, who are within the same industry. And, you know, oftentimes we just figure it's, you know, customer service is, you know, you have bad customer service, or even things like product mix and all of those types of things that you just touched on. And it's something for me where, you know, these are some easy fixes, but it's a matter of the business owners and the managers understanding what they're up against. That if you know, persons are going to Kmart, what is Kmart giving that we don't have, and how can we, you know, evolve into that state of competitiveness rather than just, you know, figure out we can say, well, you know, you need to buy from home, and yes you do, but it's business, and we have to operate on a different mindset. We have to have a different approach to it, that we're going to do things differently in order to capture that market share back, because it's basically a joint market across the water.
Absolutely. You know what's so funny with a lot of small businesses, they confuse leader with king. Okay, business owners are leaders. Entrepreneurs are leaders. Successful entrepreneurs are leaders, but they're not kings and queens. So you take the risk, you go out in the market, and you actually fund and prop up the entire economy. That's what entrepreneurs do. There will be no government if there wasn't businesses, because that's where they're getting their revenues from. There would be no employees if they didn't have a place to work. There would be no customers if they had nowhere to buy the products and the conveniences of their lives that makes their quality of life so great.
So it'll be a desert wasteland, basically.
It'll be what we call martial law. It would just be
chaos,
anarchy. You just, you know, just chaos. Because of your ideas and your passion and your ingenuity, you create a level of infrastructure and uniformity in society. That makes you a leader, but it doesn't make you a king or a queen. And people confuse that. And what they do is automatically assume that they're above the customer because you own this business. You're automatically above the employee because you own this business. And they carry that condescending attitude throughout what they're doing. And I see that happen a lot in this region, where you go into a business, they don't feel like you're valued. Now, I spoke about it earlier. A business would have to lose 100% of their customers to lose 100% of their revenue, right? But that comes with a level of responsibility and maturity, because you are in a position where if one customer walk away, is no big deal to you. That doesn't mean that you carry the attitude, because that is a level of immaturity. That doesn't mean you carry the attitude that they're wasteful.
Because every customer is important
and everybody's valued. I don't care if they're spending $10 or $10,000. They get the same level of commitment and attention and respect, no matter what they're spending in any of my businesses. That's it, period. Half the time in my businesses, people don't even, more than half the time, they don't know I own the place. I will come in and I will operate and serve people the exact same way because they are valued. I'm serving them and solving their problems. So I think that is a cultural kind of thing that we have to adjust to.
That's a paradigm
and really
shift.
what happens is people that come from different countries that are entrepreneur minded already, and also they appreciate the opportunity to own a business in a capital free market society, because some of them may be coming from communism or something else,
socialist states.
Exactly. So if they're coming from some place like that, you're in trouble, because they're going to have a stronger competitive edge, and they are going to be able to grow your businesses. I implore you, look around and look at the businesses that are growing in your society and look at the cultural background of those people. That's a sign of what's happening to us. We're being targeted, and they're calling their friends saying, hey, guess what? You need to come over here. These people spending a whole bunch of money, and they're starting very little businesses. Don't worry, some of them have businesses. But the ones who have businesses, we're going to dominate them because they're lazy, they overspend, they're not financially responsible, and they don't have good service. Come, send your children, pack up, come and be right here. And you start seeing the influx of them, and they start taking over. Mark my word, you don't call me a prophet in 100 years.
Not really. It's already there. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think we kind of like downplay it, because even like, say for example, the census came out for 2010 and they talked about, Virgin Islanders being basically a minority. But I tell people all the time, I'm not so much worried about the numbers, because the quantity is one thing, but it's about the quality in terms of all mindset. Because I was just telling somebody the other day, the fact that basically post-emancipation, post-slavery, that we own the land made us millionaires right off the bat. You see what I'm saying? But for a lot of our forefathers, that transition hadn't taken place in their mind. So it's like you see it as, I got a patch of land. Somebody comes to you and say, well, sell it to me for $5. And they sold it to them for $5. Come now, this land moving $1 million and up. You understand? So
and then they put something on the land. They develop it.
And they develop it, so the value of this is just going to continue to increase. So by the time my grandchildren come, we're talking about $10 million of maybe a little acre. Because they can see out by Kamano. And that's the thing for me that concerns me as far as where our mindset is. Do we see ourselves as millionaires? Because if we do, we will understand what is at our disposal to be movers and shakers in the economy, and not allow, anybody just to come in and convince us that, the only way we're going to do it is that they have to be part of it.
I want to touch on a point that you just said.
But before you do, just in case you just tune in, you miss an awesome show, because we're going to start to wrap up in a few. I'm your host, Shaina Smith. You're tuned into a special edition of the Vigilate Dialogues, and I've been talking here with Professor Devin Robinson about business and economy. And we're getting into things all like, basically we talk about nation building and the responsibility of us as the citizens of the country, in making that happen and moving the country to the next level. You know?
I want to bring up Mark Zuckerberg for Facebook, right? Because I like to bring him up as an example where his vision and his endurance led him to be the $100 billion man, right? So he had an offer twice as he was growing Facebook. Facebook is 10 years old now, started in 2004.
Sounds about right.
So he had an offer by Yahoo and by Microsoft twice. One for $5 billion, the other for $10 billion. I like to ask people, what if somebody offered you $5 billion or $10 billion, even though your idea is $100 billion idea? Would you have said, you know what, maybe I might not make $100 billion, let me just sell it? How many of us would have held the course, held the road, and say, that's not, I'm still not getting the value for it, and fold? A lot of people would.
And wait it out.
And exactly, and that's how I look at him. I'm not a big fan of social media just yet. The culture hasn't really evolved to that place where it becomes a marketplace. It's just a gossip place or a talking place. It's not a marketplace just yet, right? So that's where you got to be careful with trying to really build a sustainable business around it. You still need traditional marketing. But for him, I just like to bring up that point that when would you have folded? Because he didn't stop until he got to $100 billion. And when he went public, when he released his IPO.
So wait, this was $100 billion before going public?
Yes.
Wow.
It was worth $100 billion. Then he went public.
Wow.
And when he went public, he created, I think this is something like 40-something millionaires immediately. When that bell rung, 9:30 on the stock market, bing, bing, instant millionaires because of the value of that business. So this is the kind of stuff that we really have to teach, learn ourselves, and teach like our generations coming up, like to really not be short-sighted. I see a lot of short-sightedness throughout our community.
And that's the thing now when we talk about things like economic development, it's not just a buzzword as it were, but we have to be seriously strategizing as far as the economic development of the country over the next 10 years, 20 years. how are we going to do it? And it is through business development.
Absolutely.
So whether it's startups or expansion of businesses, because when you see your businesses expanding, that's a good sign. But when you don't see businesses expanding and you have a lot of startups, it doesn't necessarily mean things are as good as we're thinking.
Absolutely.
You know, because expansion of businesses mean new jobs. So then unemployment goes down. You know.
And it also is a sign of being proven.
Yeah.
An expanding business is a proven model. A startup business, we don't know if it's proven.
What's going to happen in the next 5 years?
Right.
Yeah, if they're going to make it. So it's so key for us, you know, as Virgin Islanders to understand the mechanics, as it were, of business and the economy, and, you know, make sure we're always seeking out the knowledge for it. That's why the Academy was such an awesome opportunity that, you know, I hope more persons jump on it as they continue the program in terms of sharpening their skills. So they may already be in business, because one of the things when I started reading this book, I was like, it'd been nice to have this 3 years ago. Or even before that, in terms of preparing myself from 2010 before I started my own business in 2011.
Right.
You know, to start that mind, that shift, the paradigm shift in my mind as far as, okay, Shaina, you're not just going to go from being employed by somebody else to employed by yourself, because, you know, we still have the employee mentality.
Absolutely.
Rather than, you know, I'm an employer now, so it means that this is mine, I go home with this.
Yep.
I'm thinking about this before I go sleep, but when I wake up,
Yep.
you know, this is my baby.
Yep.
And if I'm going to bring other people in, there are certain things that have to be in place as far as structure. So it's a lot of hard work, but it's very rewarding. At least that's been my experience, and I know there are a lot of, you know, again, the emerging business leaders that are coming on stream now over the last 5 years, where, you know, for those of us that moved home in the last 10, the last 5, that we, you know, we're going to be the movers and shakers, the next set of CEOs.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a foundation here that I really like in the BVI, I must say. There's a foundation here that gives BVI Lando's heavy leverage, and I really see
court
that.
Advantage.
Oh, I see it day in and day out. That all it needs is for people to get the necessary training, so that the veil can be lifted, the blinders can be lifted, and they can see, like, oh, okay, this is how I can move in this direction. Because there's no real a lot of fighting for legislation to make sure that we're good. You have a lot of things in place already. You know, I'm sure there are things that could be bettered, but there are a lot of things in place that, I'm telling you, entrepreneurship here, small business here, the local economy here can really, really be booming.
Gold mine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can talk about operations.
Well, it came up somewhere. We got, let me see, we got time. So
Yeah.
give me the 1 minute spiel.
1 minute spiel is just manage, your ability to manage, right? So we have marketing, sales, operations, your ability to manage. Just manage the resources that's coming in. So I've seen businesses where they got a lot of traffic, they get a lot of sales conversion, but they're going out of business because people may be high paid, overinflated, overcompensated, too many benefits, not investments in the right place, no training program, not a good HR recruitment program, dead weight, people won't get fired, dinosaurs in place, no new ideas. All these different things can be a virus and a cancer in the business. So it's just your ability to manage the resources that you have. Your resources are 3 major resources: time, money, and hard resources, like your location, your building, physical, tangible things.
Yeah.
A lot of times people aren't able to manage those resources properly.
Making good decisions as far as how to use them.
Yep, absolutely. So those are the 3 areas. Chapter, I can't remember what chapter that was in, but those are the three main areas.
I think it was in execute.
3 main areas.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of with our economy, and I'm putting this question to you, one of the things that I see as far as opportunities that are missed, that's what I've been using now, missed opportunities that we have in our economy. A lot of times we talk about foreign investment being necessary, and it has its place. You know, we would still, my priority is always about domestic investment. We need to be investing in ourselves, investing in our country, and not have that dependency, because if the foreign investment doesn't come, what does that mean?
Absolutely.
You know, it means I'm dead in the water, because I'm not able to pull out my oar, and I know how to oar to get to shore, you know. So when it comes to things like, say, agriculture, or I see that as a missed opportunity, especially when you talk about not just the raw production, but, you know, talking about canned foods, processed foods is also one of those things, because we talk about agriculture as being like, oh, that was days past. But it's like agriculture is a science unto itself, both land and sea based.
Agriculture ain't going nowhere. You just going into the
everybody
grocery
has
stores.
to eat.
You just go into the grocery store now. That's it. But it's the supply chain is still there.
Yeah.
These grocery stores getting it from agriculture, right?
Exactly.
You know, the thing that I don't like to see in the Caribbean islands overall is countries that live off of tourism and become lazy because of tourism. So there's no real maintenance of that. It's a beautiful place. We got beautiful water. We got sites, and we got tourists. So let's just
that's it.
Right off of that, right? So and then foreign investments, you know, here and stuff like that.
And with financial services in our case as well.
Financial services, yeah. What I really see opportunities for, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, is manufacturing. There has to be every region. Let's just speak about here, BV Islander, has to be known for something manufactured. So those are the places where the advantages need to take place.
Yeah. That
you manufacture something and it's understood and it's known that this is a Tortola thing or BVI thing, right?
And as an example of that, because just this week I was telling somebody there was a breeder there, I think it's still here, called a breed of sheep called the Virgin Islands sheep. Because there was some, I don't know what the whole story was behind of it. But obviously this is something that became known, this is our breed. Just like you have indigenous plants.
Yeah.
This was an indigenous animal as far as, you know, it's referred to the Virgin Islands sheep. And I'm like, there's no reason we can't have one of our islands out there, basically a sheep farm producing mutton.
Right.
Can't done.
Right.
You know, you consume where you want to consume in a local market, and you look at pushing it out just like we did back in the day. You know.
Yeah.
So, and that's when you had a little soup with wind power. So imagine how I decide we start marketing and selling sheep straight down island.
Yeah.
Fresh mutton.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are the areas that you have to really develop, because once you start and you say Dung Island, that's key.
Yeah.
You want to export your manufacturing. It's not just for local consumption. So you manufacture something and you export this thing to the four corners of the earth.
Whoever wants it.
Yeah, because that would help with the branding of the territory anyway, and that could help with the tourism thing that we sit on our hands with and just say, let it come.
Yeah.
So manufacturing is definitely a big deal, and there are a lot of little different areas that
we can do it.
Yeah, that I would not talk about here.
Yeah, we can't give away all the secrets. But it's just an example, though, in terms of getting people thinking. Because a lot of times we hear people, sometimes even leaders, tell us, well, we can't manufacture. It's like, that's not true.
Yeah, that's not true.
You know, we can manufacture is not about a big factory spread out someplace. Manufacturing occurs on a lot of different levels. And as an example, you know, my cousin visited the Cayman Islands the other day, and she went to the factory that does the Tortuga cakes. And, you know, she was saying, you know, Shaina, if you see this place, you would not believe it. Because Tortuga rum cakes, you can find these things every and anywhere, and they're still being made by hand, okay, in the operation. So it's like we have, yes, it's good to have the big dream, but you got to start someplace.
You got to start somewhere, and the branding and the packaging of that product is really what the customer cares about most. Not that they ain't gonna die, they ain't gonna get sick, and it tastes
it's
good,
quality,
and the branding and the packaging is what they like most. We have some of the most archaic facilities producing some of the best quality products.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So you have radio stations that are operating out of some of the smallest, more basic stuff, but they're huge shows, and their quality of their programming is great. So it's you know, people get the wrong idea.
Yeah, as far as what manufacturing is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of fruits around here. We have things that we can really create and brand that I see when I'm here every 6 weeks, and I'm just looking around like,
wow, missed opportunity. You with me?
I mean, you guys gonna make me move here.
Well, that's good. Come on home.
Really?
You got roots there, you know.
Okay.
You just branched out.
All right.
Come on home. Well, you just tuned in. You missed us, but you know, definitely catch the replay. This has been the Vigilate Dialogues, and with me, I've had Mr. Devin Robinson, power mover himself, and closing words. You got 30 seconds. What would you say?
Big opportunities does not fall on your lap. They exist on roads that you choose to travel on. That's my part.
That's your parting words. All right. So until next time, because you know you're going to be back. This is your host, Shaina Smith, saying thanks for tuning in to the Vigilate Dialogues. And let's continue the change and conversation for a bigger, better or beautiful Virgin Islands. Good evening.